Hello students, welcome back to Algebra 1B. Today we're going to be exploring a different way of solving quadratics, and that's solving by using square roots. So we'll start off with a very simple equation like this. X squared is equal to 9. Now you can probably do that one in your head. You're probably thinking the answer to that is 3 because 3 times 3 is 9. Well, you're half right. So if we want to get the x by itself, we would need to get rid of that exponent right there. We get rid of squared by using a square root, and we square root the other side. So we would get x is equal to 3. However, that's not the entire answer, because how do I know that the square root of 9 is 3? I say the square root of 9 is 3 because 3 times 3 is equal to 9. However, there's also another number that I could multiply by itself that would equal 9. We could also say that the square root of 9 is -3 because -3 times -3 is also 9. So that means that this one right here has two answers, and we have to remember that anytime I take the square root of a number, there should be two answers, one positive and one negative. Let's see how that's going to look in this week's assignment. So I have 3x squared minus 27 is equal to 0. Now at first I'm going to ignore the squared right there, and I'm just going to pretend that it's just a regular x. So if this equation were just 3x minus 27, how would I solve? Well, I would start off by adding 27 to both sides, and then I would get 3x is equal to 27, divide by 3, oops, let's actually put the squared in there, and we would get x squared is equal to 9. Hey, that's the problem that I just did. So if I square root both sides right here, I would get x equals 3 or x equals -3. And we're done. Let's do another one. Okay, so on this one I would do the same thing. I would subtract 11 on both sides, and I would get -5x squared is equal to 5. Then we would divide both sides by -5, and I would get x squared equals -1. And then I would take the square root of both sides, and then, wait a second. Type that into your calculator real quick, because what it's asking is what number times itself is equal to -1. So if I type square root of -1, I get nothing. My calculator doesn't work here. Maybe my calculator's broken. Let's Okay, Desmos is a good calculator. This will tell us the answer right away. Undefined. Okay, so really, if you think about that, what's the square root of -1? That's a number times itself that equals -1. There is no real number that can do this. So, actually in Algebra 2, you'll start learning about imaginary numbers, which will allow you to give a complex answer to this. But for Algebra 1, we're just going to say that this one has no real solution. So anytime we're taking a square root in Algebra 1, if we try to take the square root of a negative number, the answer is no real solution. Okay, let's try a slightly more complicated one. Okay, now this one's a little bit different because there's an x minus 1 in parentheses, and then that gets squared. So what I'm going to have to do here is I will square this first, and I will get x minus 1 is the square root of 25 is 5, or x minus 1 could be -5. What I can do from here is just solve like an old Algebra 1 problem. We'll just add 1 to both sides and get x is equal to 6. We'll add 1 to both sides here and get x is equal to -4. And there's my two solutions. Let's try one more. Okay, so this one's a little bit more complicated. Let's go ahead and take the square root of both sides just like the other time. 2x plus 1 is equal to square root of 36 is 6, or 2x plus 1 is equal to the square root of 36 is negative 6. So now I'm going to subtract 1 on both sides and get 2x equals 5. Dividing by 2 on both sides, I'll get x equals 5 halves, or 2.5. Subtracting 1 on both sides, I'll get 2x equals negative 7. Dividing by 2 on both sides, I'll get x equals negative 7 halves, or negative 3.5. Those are my two solutions.